to order for July 6, 2022. I just want to let everyone know that is in this room, that this room has two exits. They're on the right-hand side of the audience, the front of the room and the back of the room. If we have to evacuate for any purpose, we ask you to proceed through the exit closest to you, go outside, move over the building, and don't come back into our fire officials have instructed us to do so. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise. We'll pledge allegiance to the American flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight, first part of our meeting is administrative board work. We've got our business done. We have old business. There's two public hearings. They have requested continuances, and we do have a public hearing in regards to a conditional use permit for Eversource. And there's a conceptual discussion that has asked to be postponed to a later date. We'll get to that. First item we have is approval of minutes under administrative board work, and those are the minutes of June 1st, 2022. Any questions from the board? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion by Al to accept the minutes of June 1st, 2022, second by Jake. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Abstentions?
Abstention.
Chair votes affirmative. Jeff abstains. We have a full complement of regular members, so we don't need to do any appointments of alternates, and we have a total of 8 people voting. And Gianni's not going to be here tonight. So. Okay, minutes are approved. We have no regional impact determinations, so moving right along. Discussions with town staff. There's
Yes,
one extension request.
we do. We have an extension request for 213 Rockingham Road, which is the site plan, map 15, lot 23-1, which was conditionally approved on October 6th, 2021. They were granted one extension request until June 30th, 2022. They requested an extension request last month, and they were granted another one. They are still working on one outstanding item, which is the financial guarantee, so they are requesting an additional 30 days to meet the conditions of approval.
We gave them 30 days last time. We talked about 90, so maybe if we give them 90, they'll get it done in 30 days, so.
I did
Who
recommend,
knows?
as staff, I did recommend to them, like I did last time, additional time just to get it done. And I made the same recommendation this time, but they are still asking for 30 days.
Okay, board's choice.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the extension for 30 days.
Second.
Motion by Al to extend the extension 30 days to, what is the date
The
on?
30 days would be August 4th.
August 4th. And the second one was by Jake. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Abstentions, and chair votes affirmative. Thank you. Anything else?
I have nothing else.
Okay. Anything from the board? And we have a new planner starting on the 25th of July.
No kidding.
So Kelly Walsh.
Wow.
And Kelly is a graduate of Londonderry High School and Plymouth State University.
That's fantastic.
She comes to us, she's worked for the town of Epping as town planner and code enforcement officer.
Correct.
And before that, she was in Milford, town planning. Before that, she was in Merrimack, working for Tim Thompson.
She was.
Yeah, most of us
Awesome.
know Tim. And she started off as an intern at Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. And she did do several years with the what is now the State Office of Planning and Development. She's got some good experience.
Awesome.
So, I don't have anything further. We will go to old business. We have a public hearing on an application for a formal review of a site plan for the construction of a 7,200 square foot warehouse and wholesale building and associated site improvements at 3 Enterprise Drive, tax map 15, lot 62-3, zone commercial 2. 3 Enterprise Drive LLC is the owner and the applicant, and the applicant is seeking a continuance to July 13th, 2022. Take a motion for continuance.
Motion to approve the continuance to July 13th, 2022.
Second?
Motion by Al, second by Jake for the continuance. Seeing no discussion from the board, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, chair votes affirmative, and the public hearing for Enterprise Drive LLC at 3 Enterprise Drive is continued to the 13th of July, 1 week from today, 2022, at 7 PM right here. This is your only official public notice. Next, we have a public hearing on an application for a formal review of a subdivision plan to subdivide one lot into 3 at number 106 Wiley Hill Road, tax map 5, lot 12-1, zone agricultural residential 1, 106 Wiley Hill Road LLC as the owner and the applicant, and they are asking a continuance to the 10th of August, 2022.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion by Al, second by Jake. For continuance, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, chair votes affirmative. And the application for a formal review of a subdivision plan to subdivide one lot into 3 at 106 Wiley Hill Road, tax map 5, lot 12-1, zone agricultural residential 1, 106 Wiley Hill Road LLC, being the owner and the applicant, has been continued to the 10th of August at 7 PM right here. This is your only official public notice. Okay, we have a conceptual and non-binding review and discussion of a proposed site plan for a multifamily development of 21 single-family homes at 22 Young Road, tax map 6, lot 58-2, zoned residential 3. Edgar L. Pitts and Winifred L. Pitts Revocable Trust are the owners, and 20 Young Road, tax map 6, lot 53, zoned residential 3. Tony and Heidi Bennett are the owners, and Cedar Crest Development LLC is the applicant, and they have requested that the conceptual discussion be continued to July 13th of 2022. This needs no motion or, public notice, because it will be noticed in our agenda for then. And it's a conceptual discussion, it is not a public hearing. And we do have a public hearing on an application for a conditional use permit for 23,981 square feet of wetland impacts and 18,800 square feet of buffer impacts for work within the Conservation Overlay District for the proposed realignment of a segment of its existing 365 electronic distribution line. Public Service Company of New Hampshire, doing business as Eversource Energy, is the applicant. And who is, check with completeness.
Right, staff recommends that the motion be accepted as complete.
Okay, take a motion for completeness.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the application as complete per staff's recommendation memorandum dated July 6, 2022.
Second?
Okay, motion by Al for completeness, second by Jake. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and chair votes affirmative. The application has been accepted as complete. This starts the 65-day timeframe in which this board has to render a decision and the public hearing on the request. So who is making the presentation? Just identify yourself for our records, please, and you can proceed.
Good evening. My name is Chris Wilkes. I work for VHB, and I'm supporting Eversource with environmental permitting and compliance on this project. So what we have in front of you guys tonight is a proposal to realign a portion of Eversource's existing 365 line distribution line. And the reason for it is in direct response of DOT Exit 4A project that is going to be starting later this summer into early fall. So the right-of-way is an existing distribution line right-of-way. The location we're talking about is in between Madden Road and Trolley Car Lane on east and west of I-93, directly east and west of I-93. And in order to accommodate DOT's plans for a new construction of a new roadway that's going to basically go down the middle of the existing distribution line right of way, DOT and Eversource are working in collaboration to push out that distribution line to accommodate the new road. So it's coming off of I-93. It's going to be connected to an overpass over I-93. So that's the purpose of the project. It's in direct response to the DOT work. And in order to do that, so not the entire right-of-way, that segment that's shown in red on the screen needs to be realigned. It's essentially a 2,400 linear foot section just directly east and west of I-93. And I did include a set of local permitting plans that depicts sort of the work that's proposed. If you have a copy of that. And what it's going to involve is essentially installation, so it's a line relocation. So it's going to involve installation of 7 new weathered steel monopole structures, replacement of 3 existing single wood poles with weathered steel, replacement of 1 single wood pole with a new wood pole, and removal of 10 existing single wood poles, which is the line that's existing that's going to be removed. So the new section of right-of-way is going to be bumped to the north of where the existing distribution line runs. And so that is the 7 new poles in addition to some replacement poles in order to make that work. In addition to the pole work that's proposed, there's also, in order to do that, some tree clearing that's going to be required to gain the desired 135-foot easement that Eversource currently holds on that line. They want to continue to hold that easement width, so there is some tree clearing that's going to be required to the north of the existing right-of-way. So if you keep going, I can talk you through the plans themselves, which I think are the last attachment. In here. Okay. So that's just the USGS map, kind of orients you to where the location is. If you scroll down to the next page, that's some plan notes. And we'll keep going to, there we go. Gives a good depiction of the work. So you can see the existing right-of-way is outlined in black, bold, that runs, kind of straight across I-93. And you can see this segment of new right-of-way is sort of outlined with the orange outline that's getting bumped out. That's that 2,400 linear feet that's going to be pushed out. The gray kind of shading is the new road that's coming in that DOT is proposing. And the red outline is the limits of disturbance of the DOT project. So grading, road work, all construction activity already been approved, permitted for DOT is within that red boundary. So DOT is going to be obviously disturbing that area anyways, and the existing right-of-way, they're doing some tree clearing to the north. So we do have to do some additional tree clearing to gain that desired easement width, and that's the sort of yellow hatching that's shown, represents the proposed tree clearing that Eversource is going to be doing to accommodate that new line orientation. And that does include a little section in the median of I-93 to accommodate a new crossing. So in terms of resources, wetlands, natural resources were delineated previously by others in support of the DOT project. Multiple consultants over multiple years have been involved with that project. VHB got involved with Eversource to support the permitting for this. We went out, we reviewed the resources. We confirmed verified boundaries. There are a number of wetlands out there, vernal pools and streams. A lot of them are going to be permanently impacted by the DOT project. We tried to limit our impact to those resources by, implementing standard best management practices during construction. We're going to be performing the work with ruggedized tracked equipment, so we're not road building, doing any significant earthwork to put these poles in. It's a distribution line, so Eversource approaches that work slightly different than transmission line construction. Smaller poles, single poles, so they don't need big foundations, big digs, anything like that. It's going to be all kind of direct embed poles. We are going to, in terms of the tree clearing, we are avoiding clearing directly in the boundaries of the wetlands. We're going to do it from the upland edge for the most part to avoid ground disturbance, rutting, and impacts to those wetlands. So we've done everything we can to kind of minimize, avoid, or impact. We are submitting a permit application to the state DES for wetland permit application. That's going to be going out the door on Monday to seek approval at the state level for temporary wetland impacts and the wetland tree clearing that we have to do. So why we're here, obviously, is we're seeking conditional use permit approval for the conservation overlay district impacts, which you had mentioned in your introduction. We do have 2 wetlands that are over greater than 0.5 acres in size, so they have buffers in accordance with your zoning ordinance. And so we're looking for approval for impacts within those buffers and direct impacts to the wetlands themselves.
Okay, what I'll do, I'll get input from staff, we'll get input from the board, and then we'll go to abutters, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
We'll be making our decision. So, Laura?
As the applicant stated, they're requesting a conditional use permit to allow a permitted use, which is the realignment of its existing 365 electric distribution line between Madden Road and Charlie Carr Lane in the Conservation Overlay District. The projects will accommodate the proposed construction of a new roadway that will extend to an overpass over Interstate 93 associated with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation Exit 4A project. Eversource Energy seeks to do work within the Conservation Overlay District relating to realignment of a segment of its 365 electric distribution line and the utility right-of-way. The Conservation has looked at this project and has recommended approval of the CUP.
Okay, thank you, Laura. And the board, I'll start with Ann.
Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
saw your presentation at the Conservation Commission
You
meeting.
look familiar. Yeah.
Thorough. I do have a question about the original alignment and the new alignment, realignment of the.
Sure.
Because the old alignment followed the new exit for a road more closely. I was wondering if, is there any way you could have underground lines and go under 93 to get to Trolley Car Lane instead of moving the towers? And they're going to be taller than what's existing, correct?
Yeah, they are increasing, not significantly, but they are going up, I think, between 5 and 15 feet.
Okay.
And that's just, there's a number of reasons for that. It's just, to match up to current engineering standards for clearances, vertical and horizontal. Also, span lengths, so that highway crossing is kind of a large span between 2 structures. The poles have to be a certain height to make that happen. In order to avoid wetlands, we tried to shift poles where we could to avoid wetlands, and in order, and the result of that sometimes is longer span lengths and higher poles. So it's kind of try and, accommodate the resources, and then you get a little bit higher of a pole. So that's the pole heights. In terms of the orientation, I think, and we have other folks from Eversource here that might be able to speak to it better, but I can attempt. I think DOT, we're fairly constrained by DOT's project and what their activity is and where they want us. So, within that red outline that's shown is a lot of earthwork that's going to happen, slope work, drainage work, pavement work. And so we don't want to be, it was designed so that we avoid all of those constraints. So we're not putting a pole on a, embankment of a new road slope or a drainage swale.
Well, I meant underground.
Underground, I can't, yeah, I can't speak to that really. Maybe Ashley could, in terms of the feasibility of something like that.
Good evening. Ashley Friend, Eversource Licensing and Permitting. Yeah, at this time, we are not considering underground modifications for the engineering design. This has been, I mean, this project from DOT has been in the making for about 10 years, and we are pretty set on the design at this point for the overhead distribution lines.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
All set. Deb?
Could you elaborate on that more? You really didn't answer her question, and I really would like to know why that wasn't an alternative to go underground. It is gonna make that area kinda unsightly. And I just because isn't a reason. Yes, we know this has been in the works for a very, very long time, which means you would have had very long time to figure out alternative plans to go underground with these things. So, yeah, I'd really like to know the detailed reasons why.
Are you speaking like directly about the crossing on the highway or what segment or the?
Actually, I'd love to see them all underground
Okay, I think for a
number of reasons. I mean, you know,
Gotcha.
accidents, cars getting hit, go off the road, hit a pole, crushes. I mean, there's many reasons why underground wiring is much better. Besides being, it's more attractive underground because you don't have those obstructions in your view.
I would say cost is obviously a concern, for a small distribution line of this size, it's your typical sort of single wood pole construction. To do something underground for distribution along what's already gonna be a developed roadway seems, I think that probably wasn't potentially considered.
I would like to see those numbers. What is the difference?
I can't
cost-wise.
speak
Yeah, we
to
can't
that
supply that.
personally.
Why?
I can.
Why
And
can't
also,
those
I would
numbers
argue
be
that,
supplied?
I would
mean,
argue that the aesthetic,
Let's not argue.
No, I just asking questions, and I have every right to ask those questions. And
You can ask, but let's not get a. debate
I
going
just
on
would
here.
like to know a good reason why, except for the fact that you don't want to give them to us.
I would state that the aesthetic value isn't going to necessarily change much from what's existing. So the argument to put it underground for aesthetic value, there's about to be a whole nother exit for DOT. It's going to be a massive entrance and exit onto an interstate highway.
I understand. I don't think that that's a solid answer, and I really would like to see some better response, personally. I mean, after all, you did double your prices just recently, didn't you?
I understand your concern.
And you're
That's
telling
right.
us about rolling blackouts at the
That's
town
probably
council.
Another part of the.
I mean, I would like to hear some more reasons why.
Hi, hopefully you all can hear me. I'm David Career. I work community relations for Eversource. First, as the raising the prices go, that cost is actually straight pass-through. We don't make any money on the energy costs. That is the lowest cost that we are able to get that supply, and so that's what it pays. That has nothing to do with our business model. We don't pay that.
I
it
totally
doesn't go into our-
understand.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear about that. As far as underground stuff, I've only been with the company for about 8 months now, so this has been way before my time. But, underground is not perfect either. Those
understand.
lines can still break, and especially something on a distribution line like this, if that breaks, it's gonna take a lot longer to then fix it. Because now you have to dig up the whole road as opposed to just saying, oh yeah, the line's broke right there. So it's not just a matter of the cost, which also all of our costs for all of our construction projects all have to be approved by PUC. So the cost aside, we might not even get approval from a regulators for that. But there's also the consideration of it could actually decrease reliability because should something go wrong, we aren't able to fix it in the timely manner that you're used to.
I understand all of this, but if you look see way over in the corner, where the,
East side?
the east is Derry, right? No.
Yes.
So no, so from the west, till you get up to 93, and then just say 93, and then on the other side, if partially could be underground, those poor residents over there have had, besides land being taken, roads being widened. It's just been a big impact on them. And just, you know, to make it a little bit more aesthetic for them, it's bad enough that they're getting this huge highway in their backyards now. I'm just trying to be mindful, and I just was wondering, I mean, why can't we consider doing part of it? Like Derry has part of theirs underground and part above ground, where they
So-
can, under, you know.
Again, this was in planning way before my time. But I can try and circle back and figure out with the design team what considerations they took and why they would consider that. I do know, again, usually what ends up happening is for underground, if it's specifically requested and there's not a specific reason that it needs to be underground, that's on the, you know, customers to pay for that. And so, you know, we don't, you know, I don't know how DOT would like adding all that cost into their project in order to have the line underground. And if they're not willing to pay for it, then that's essentially all the
But
customers.
we don't know unless we ask, right?
Right, and I
And
said
there's
I'll
no
circle
harm in
back and
asking.
try and figure that out.
Like I said, these people in this area have been impacted severely on numerous reasons. And I think that just to make it a little bit more aesthetic for them to deal with, I mean, they haven't even been able to get a sound wall in properly. So I just feel like if we can just do something to help them a little bit, it would be nice.
Yeah, we can certainly ask the question. This project is fully reimbursable by DOT, so any modifications made that would change the cost in any way, shape, or form would need to be vetted and approved by DOT, which has its own process.
Right. But I just think that, you know, it would be good to consider. Considering that whole area too is gonna be a new development, some big projects might be coming in. It might be more attractive if the lots are underground as opposed to above ground for those buildings to come in that area for more economic development.
I will note that the 2 residences on the western side were purchased by the state, and those homes will be removed.
Yep. Thank you.
That's all set.
Yep.
Jeff?
Yeah, I have no issues with the current design, considering it's a sub-project of the overall DOT work that's being done for that exit, so I fully get how somewhat your hands are tied there, so I have no problem with the design as it is.
Lynn?
Hi, so there's some poles in the existing right-of-way, it looks like 62, 63, 64, 65, you know, aren't impacted really by the building of the new highway. Will those be removed?
Yep. Yeah, so they are going to be fully removed and, you know, abandoned, and that whole section is going to be taken out.
Great,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah.
Al?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
I'm all set as well, thank you.
Bruce?
I'm all set. Yeah, I'm good.
Roger?
All the good questions have been taken. I'm all set.
If we had another plan, I'd start at the other end. Give you Jake?
I was gonna ask about the couple of houses on the west side, but one of you guys just answered the question there. That they have all been purchased by the state. So I think I'm good.
Okay, are there any abutters or anyone from the public that has any questions, comments, and concerns about this conditional use permit? I don't know if you had anything to add at all, Marge? You're good, okay. Marge is the chair of the Conservation Commission, so. Ann?
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes.
Thank you. The land that the new poles will be on, are they state land?
So currently DOT is in
Or is it Woodmont Commons land?
it's Woodmont Commons land. DOT is working with Woodmont Commons and Eversource to acquire the easement rights.
Was Woodmont ever asked the type of poles or underground lines they might want? And might want to subsidize?
I can't speak to that. I don't have any knowledge of the internal proceedings of the legal team with Woodmont, Eversource, and DOT. I just know that that's in the works and that an agreement is being finalized to acquire that new easement for Eversource. And DOT's been working hard to, with Woodmont, to allow that to happen. So that's the extent of my knowledge.
Okay, so Woodmont knows about the design.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah. Yep. They've been, there's been survey out there, staking, and again, the legal documents and agreements are in process right now. So.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ian?
No, thanks.
All
Thank
set.
you.
Okay, decision is the board's. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant approval of the conditional use permit for 23,981 square feet of wetland impacts and 18,818 square feet of buffer impact within the Conservation Overlay District for the proposed realignment of a segment of the existing 365 electric distribution line in the utility right-of-way, Public Service Company of New Hampshire, DBA Eversource Energy applicant.
Second.
motion by Al, second by Bruce. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Chair votes affirmative, and motion carries. You have a conditional use permit.
Great, thank you.
If the questions could be answered, that would be great.
Yes, definitely.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
I know.
Got no plans. We have other business. Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission appointments. And currently, we have 3 openings because the terms expired on the 30th of June of 2022. And one of the commissioners, Marty Sarugas, decided not to reapply. Marty has devoted almost 12 years to the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, and thank him greatly for his service, his input, both for the town and for the Regional Planning Commission. We've got requests from myself and Deb Levens. Brian Battaglier is the most senior of our alternates. I've emailed Brian about 2 weeks ago. I have not heard any response. But we've got, and Kirby is advertised for approximately 2 weeks and hasn't got anyone additional other than myself and Deb Levens. So what we could do, because the way the process works for regional planning commissions is the planning board recommends to the town council does the appointing. So we can make a recommendation of Art Rugg and Deb Levens for a 4-year term on the commission, and then find out from Brian. If we don't hear from Brian, Lynn is the next most senior alternate.
Yeah, I guess just my question on alternate. So we're looking for a full-time member. That's correct?
Yes, it would be another full-time member, and actually, we have 3 alternates, and we've got an alternate position open. If one alternate moves up to that full position, then there'll be 2 open alternate positions.
I just wanted to say, as someone who sat on that commission for 5 years, it's really a great commission to sit on, especially if you can make the Tuesday afternoon meetings. The problem is for me, Tuesday. But it's such a wealth of knowledge that you learn because you step out of your comfort zone of Londonderry and you learn about other towns and more regional and state things that are going on. So I'm just telling anybody on the planning board, if you were thinking about it, it really is a great learning experience to participate in. I just hope that the person who steps up actually goes to the meeting. We tend to have people who step up and then never show up. And
Yeah, the meetings are both in public and virtual also. So those that can't make it in person can certainly, do it virtually. And I know they have a good virtual attendance also. Besides, for a quorum, there has to be at least 8 town members present in that room. So
Yeah.
Marty was always the faithful one that was there.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just off of Deb's comments. So the virtual meetings, I think, have made it much more accessible to other members or to new members coming in.
Yes.
That wouldn't otherwise be able to go to Manchester and take a couple of extra hours out of their midday, mid-Tuesday time schedule. And my personal preference would be to see somebody new come in. I'm not interested necessarily in moving up to a full-time position. I think it'd be great to get somebody new who's interested in it to accept that suspicion.
Kirby's re-advertising,
Yep.
so, we could, take a time, we can get, 2 members on there, or make the recommendation to the town council, and then, still search for additional members.
Yeah, because it is good to get new blood, new perspectives, new ideas.
Right, I mean, it's good to have a planner on there, or any member of a board or committee in town, because it helps with the perspective of that, because I know we have some Conservation Commission people on there, Deb's on there, so, and she has good, strong interest in regional, regional planning. And I know there's some, selectmen that are on there also, which is good to have a member of the, governing body there also. It's good, should be good communication, so that's the important part of the, commissioners and alternates is the communication back to the town. And I know they have a planners roundtable, and I know Colleen was very, very active in the planners roundtable, which is Friday afternoons. So it's up to the board's pleasure to, I would say, make a recommendation to the town council.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the town council that Art Rugg and Deb Levens be reappointed for 4-year terms to the Southern Hampshire Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion by Al, second by Jake. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, and chair votes affirmative. Any other business?
I do have one thing. Marge, could you answer a question for me? I noticed on Hickory Hill that has totally changed with the gate and the road down to the power lines. Could you explain that?
Well, there's work being done right now by Eversource replacing poles. So they have a construction entrance there. When they're done, the Conservation Commission has plans to create a parking area where it was a previous landing area for the logging that's been done, but that's gonna be a while because Eversource is gonna be back in the fall. They've taken a break at the request of Fish and Game because of the turtle population. They're respecting that this is their breeding time, so they're migrating. So they'll be back in October to continue working on that.
Okay, thank you so much. I went out there to hike and I looked at it and I said, wow, that's different.
Looks different, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
How's Eversource making out with their little project they got going on there? Any issues with residents or anything? Does anybody know? They've been pretty good?
I haven't heard any complaints.
I haven't heard anything. I know you can see activity from Mammoth Road, and where I am on Pine Hollow Drive, you can hear the activity, so there's stuff being done, and I know where Fairways is, they're quite close to some residents, but that's where the right-of-way comes up to, so,
I believe they did have some questions from residents on Fairway.
yes.
But they have resolved them. I feel they're very good about addressing consumer concerns.
Yeah, I know in the past, I think there's been, between trimming and, when they put the other transmission line in, some people that takes all their foliage and everything away because it's in the right of way. And Liz Raraca was, the liaison with the community, and she did a fantastic job with them. Handled all their questions and everything. I don't know what the final resolution was, but I know there was clearing, and you can stand at the end of Jason Drive, you can see all the wide open space and the wires and everything, so. Okay, anything else from the board? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second, third.
Okay, motion by Al. I heard Bruce, I heard Jake in there, so, you guys want to draw lots, or?
Bruce can have it.
Bruce does a second for adjournment. Okay, so all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.